Hey, my friends, this is Kimbu speaking. This is Davey. Welcome, my brother. When I talk about certain topics here, there are people who don't understand why we take the position we do. In fact, I've read in some comments people saying, Davi, go back to being the old Davi. From the beginning of the channel, from when I started following you 5 or 10 years ago, we've already been here for 12 years now. Back then, Davey was more optimistic, right? But my brothers, I tell you that when we're younger, right, we always have more hope. That's a fact. Maybe that's exactly why God always renews the generations, right? We spend time here, fulfill our role, and then a new generation comes. Because if it stayed with the same one, my brothers, it would be chaos. Because we wouldn't believe in the same lies that the system tells us anymore, for example. And I believe that all these things have to happen to prepare us for a life after this one, right? But anyway, people say that because of a perspective that's sometimes very heavy, I admit, very intense, right? It literally makes the person sad many times. But my brothers, there's no point in just playing the role of the media here, right? For example, they say the economy is strong, but when you shop at the supermarket, does it feel that way? Is your money stretching in your pocket? Are you able to pay your bills and still have some left over? Because what I actually see here is the opposite of that. And on top of that, there are the laws being created, the privileges being created. It's getting worse and worse for us to live together since they're putting some groups above others, giving them a lot more rights and protections, which makes it impossible for us to coexist. And if that wasn't enough, several injustices are happening now, often covered up by the law itself. Let's watch these videos that Vinicius sent. Big hug to my dear brother Vinicius. I'll start with this one so you can see what we already predicted would happen. Those so-called conspiracy theories always talked about this, that there would come a time when technology would be used to hunt people down in extreme cases, like in Terminator. You already know that what happens at the beginning is surveillance, and that's what's happening now, right? Even though there are already several robots that have been successful in attacks. We can't show it here, but there have been cases where people snapped, like that former Marine in the United States. It's been about, I don't know, 7 years since we talked about that case here. And he was taking down a lot of police officers too. He was a guy with really, really good training, right? A highly trained guy. And he took down several police officers. They caught him using a drone, right? And that's where it was presented. That was the first news I read about a drone being used in a police operation like that, resulting in someone's death, right? Many tests have been conducted. For example, in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, that's mainly what they use, right? Israel as well, in the conflict with Gaza. All the time you see drones being used there, even by the militants. These are technological conflicts now, right? Now, my brothers, what's incredible is that in the beginning, they make this heavier equipment more for conflict, for fighting, but soon this technology becomes cheaper and starts being used for other purposes. And what would the purpose be now? To monitor the poor street vendor, right? The guy with a hot dog stand, the guy selling some small goods, right? That's what we call it, but I don't know, like a phone case, we call those cheap stuff, right? A phone case, a pen, those little things we need. But then technology will serve the system by enforcing this stuff to the letter. Check this out with me.
Just so you have an idea, the government is buying drones to find street vendors who aren't authorized, but they don't buy drones to monitor drug trafficking. My friend, it only gets worse from there. It's all downhill. The landlady involved in the mess will have a tough time.
Exactly.
You need to have a drone for Dona Maria, the one with the little cakes, the coffee cakes. Meanwhile, in Complexo da Penha, Complexo do Alemão, and Favela da Maré, anything goes. Yeah, that's what we're actually seeing.
Right, in those favelas, I don't know which one it was, but I read that news. They also set up courses for residents to operate the drones. It would be better for them to get a job and work with that. And the ones who started using those drones were the organized crime groups themselves, right? They're the main users of those drones there. Drones are expensive, high-performance models costing about 10 or 20,000 Rs. Only people with money, like the wealthy or traffickers, can afford them. Unfortunately, that's the reality. This thing about drones monitoring citizens isn't new, right? I even showed you the Federal Highway Police doing this in several places. On the highways, they deploy those drones and use them to find people, right? So I was saying, guys, if there's one thing about people's behavior that just doesn't make any sense to me, why, Davey? Because you ask the guy on the left, you ask the guy in the center, you ask the guy on the right, you ask the neutral guy, do you blindly trust the state? They'll say no, but at the same time, none of them see any problem with it, except for us who are awake. That this same state acquires so much power, including surveillance power, right at this very moment, right? As you know, I've already reported this here as well. A system is being created, right? Actually, it's already been created. And if I'm not mistaken, it was funded by the federal government. 2 billion, right? 2 billion in this project, which is a much bigger system than the PIC system and will withhold the tax at the source. So you sold some merchandise, then the guy paid you 10 grand, 10,000 raised the tax amount. You won't have to pay it anymore. Only at the end of the year would he pay, which even helped the merchant keep some cash on hand, right? He would have the cash there in his company and keep working with that money. At the end of the year, he pays, because if he doesn't pay, he's in trouble. But now, since technology has advanced, they'll want it right away at the source. They'll deduct it immediately, right? So this system will come into effect starting in 2027. That's why a lot of people are literally desperate to go to Paraguay, because they know that when the mollusk is re-elected, and he will be, I'll even tell you the reason here, unfortunately, he will be, people know that a dozen laws like this will come into effect at full speed. You can be sure of that. Misogyny law. So if you like these videos, right? Red pill channels are being destroyed, right? But if you like channels that expose the absurdities and lies in what people said, regardless of who it was, sometimes these channels will disappear, especially when it comes to people of color and women. No one is going to make this kind of video anymore, because if they do, they'll end up arrested or sued, right? There's more. There are more absurd things. This one is worse. That's why I saved it for near the end. Let's see this other one here. Remember when I told you that here in Brazil, you can't be a man anymore, right? If you raise your voice, you're in trouble. You can't be the head of your family anymore, none of that. You should just be a mere provider, not even protect your home in case of an invasion. This case here, it's absurd because, my brothers, this man here decided in a desperate way to defend his home. He had already been robbed 8 times, 8 fucking times. You'll hear it here, straight from the media. I'll put the screen up, Fabricio, to avoid trouble. A thief tries to break into a home. I'll show it on the small screen since it could cause issues. Because it's a media report. Here it is, let's go. Listen, I was silenced.
And a thief tries to break into a house in the countryside of Goiás, but is surprised by a nasty trap set by the homeowner.
The crime happened in this house in Formosa, 70 kilometers from Brasilia. Jefferson, an evangelist, 28 years old, was found dead in the laundry area. He was shot twice in the chest by this contraption made with nylon wires, iron pipes, and mouse traps. The owner of the house set up the trap after being robbed 8 times. The trap worked like this. The wires were stretched near the floor, in front of the kitchen door. When the thief broke into the house, he bumped into the wires that triggered these mouse traps. They worked as triggers, firing the cartridges that were inside these pipes. Jefferson had a police record for threats and illegal possession of a weapon, and in his pocket, a summons was found for him to appear at the police station to answer for theft. The homeowner is being sought and is on the run. He is expected to be charged with aggravated murder. According to the police, he intended to kill and did not give the victim a chance to defend himself. The sentence can be up to 30 years in prison.
Did you hear it, or do you want me to repeat it? And the guy can get 30 years in prison in this cursed land? Yes, that's right. And not accepting that is a big mistake and a huge failure. God's hand is weighing heavily on this nation, that's a fact. And you need to recognize that even as a Christian. The guy had to run out of his own house because a criminal broke in, and it was already the 8th time he had been robbed. The media doesn't give details, obviously, whether this guy was beaten or tortured in one of those 8 times. Imagine the shock. You're there, worked really hard, just want to rest, and then a criminal comes and takes the little you have, right? As you can see in the report, it's a very modest home, a very poor one. So the little that the guy manages to save with his hard work, some cowardly criminal comes in and steals it. If he really had guts, he'd go rob a bank, right? People who can protect themselves go after a bank, right? They don't do it because they know it's dangerous. So he goes and robs a decent citizen, and this desperate citizen sets a trap like you saw because he can't have a gun. If you're caught on the street, right, with a knife, the police treat you like the worst criminal ever. If they find a knife at your waist, the police have no reason to treat you like the worst criminal in the world. If you get caught with a firearm, my brother, poor you, they'll call at least 3 different police units. It'll look like you're a terrorist from Iraq. It'll look like you are because they're trained, and they even get a bonus when they seize a firearm. So, pardon my language, but those guys go sniffing around just to catch you. Most police officers, unfortunately, most of them don't want citizens to be armed because today it's too easy. They show up disrespecting you, yelling, and if citizens had the power to defend themselves, they'd have to show respect. So nobody wants that, right? So the guy defends himself. Imagine sometimes you have your nephew or niece sleep over at your house, a guest, right? Your sister comes to visit you with her daughter. You don't worry, we lock the doors, we have coffee, we go to sleep just like a family does, right? You talk, watch some TV, a movie. Just think, here, a thug like that traumatizes your family. The guy defends the house like a man, like a real man is supposed to do. And then he could get 30 years. He has to run away so he doesn't get arrested for defending his home. This country is under a curse. Anywhere else, this guy would deserve a medal. Listen to what the police chief or whatever this government official is going to say.
The police chief says he went overboard, 30 years in prison. The police chief says he went overboard protecting his house.
Tolerable defense, right? Animals that are used to protect property, electric fences, broken glass. Everything that's excessive will be punished, right?
Right now? Right? Right? I've already said this here. I shouldn't say these things because then the algorithm really comes down on the channel to take it down. But I'm against women being police officers, police chiefs, playing soccer, in MMA, all that. I don't think it's nice. I don't think those are professions for women. But women should stay in their own area, man. Women should stay in their own lane. Thank you. There it is, right? Why did this happen? Because we, right, our parents too, they thought these silly things, culture, cartoons, a TV series, a soap opera, that's nonsense. Let them do it. And then they end up working on it just like we do now. One guy works 12 hours. The other one over there works 14 hours a day, sometimes even 16. He doesn't have time to worry about that nonsense. But he forgets that his son, his daughter, are being indoctrinated by all this programming and ideology. And the result is this country right here. What you have today, my brother, is literally a bunch of depraved people. People you would never invite into your home because of their reckless sodomite behavior. And these people are not only entering your home through the law, right? Exactly because of that. Because they are the ones making the law. And they came to power. NGOs with veritable fortunes bankrolled by globalists. They pour money into these NGOs. These NGOs come into the country, pick that candidate X, A, B, C, and put them front and center. People believe the narratives. Take Molusco now, for example. He legalized political indoctrination in schools, colleges, and so on. So, the communist teacher who hooks up with young girls, who hooks up with young boys, now he has the space he wanted to indoctrinate your son and your daughter. And you can't do anything about it. The right is quite divided. There are YouTubers I respect, like Wiki Leo. I don't know the guy, but he had the courage to record. Then another one comes along. No, I'm right-wing, but I don't like him because he does this. Because he's disrespecting the teacher. He was simply showing what that behavior is like. It happens in the damn classroom, paid with our taxes. Why so much outrage over something that's public? What is public?
They are tied to the inescapable logic of data-driven capitalism from the big tech companies. About the construction of the data center in Goiânia, at first he said that we have plenty of water and energy. The world's government technical inspection, SENAI, causes the change of 1,000 M2 spaces. It becomes dangerous with sports because it's a rural park and they wanted space for a colony. And to keep that fund there of expensive land and then create data, which are the organized labor suppliers for the communism of what is it? From the same state where we are finishing it. Dear students, dear colleagues, do not be afraid of your future, which will be quite difficult. I do not envy your youth, for I am lucky to be old, but it is never being old-fashioned, as many old teachers sometimes are. Make an appeal to them. Do not be afraid of anything. Do not feel sorry for yourselves. Avoid that suffering. Overcome your pain, your weaknesses. Be left-wing. It doesn't matter if you are social democrats, anarchists, but be anyone at all. Musicians always politically on the left and with the first wave of projects focused on social issues, even from capitalists who forced everyone to. So,
because of this division, but they don't support or stand by me. Speaking of which, I told you, do you know why the mollusk got re-elected? I'm going to show you this little clip here that I got from Alan Dos Panos' channel. And see what the proposal is from the guy who, for many, is considered the salvation of this country. And I've already said it, and I'll repeat it here. This guy is crap. This guy, if he were elected, and he won't be because he's weak. But if he were elected, he would pass more pro-LGBTQ and feminist laws than Lula himself will manage in his new term. He doesn't have any plan against this. He doesn't see it as a problem. He's following this agenda because what this guy wants is power. Take a look. We'll be right back.
There's Bolsonaro's blood in this damn thing.
It's a program we've already discussed with, including cell phone carriers, who would have all the
interest
to help us, to help the government to guarantee access to 70 million women on their cell phones. In fact, we're even discussing providing the cell phone itself during the pre-campaign to those who can't afford one, because that's inclusion, especially for the elderly as well. That's real inclusion. So women and the elderly, that's in our script here, that's in our plans.
There's Bolsonaro blood in this damn thing.
It's the misogyny bill. Why did you support it? Why did you vote yes?
Well, everyone knows we're in an election year, and this is a big trap set by the PT for me, and this is a big trap set by the PT for me. It's easy to see it's just a stage circus, and the law doesn't protect women.
There's Bolsonaro's blood in this damn thing.
This one is from the UN.
There's Itaú, Santo Antonio, Bradesco. They all have cashback. Everyone has to have cashback. If you're from Caixa now and you're going to have this program here, you'll have Caixa cashback too. You'll feel it. But whenever you do something social that's good for you and your family,
So I know there are people who get upset, Davey, but this way it strengthens the left. I repeat, worse than the left itself, which we already know is the enemy, is the guy who says he's on our side but is actually on their side. This guy's corrupt. This guy messed up his own father's government. He's a weak candidate, bought off, involved in all kinds of corruption schemes like in the Banco Marcha case. It's clear they called it out. It's clear. And this guy, my brother, can't even save himself, let alone his own wife or the country. So my brother, open your eyes. Given that, Davi, what do we do? You blew everything up. What do we do? I've discussed this with you countless times. We try to make as many people as possible aware, but it won't be possible because the law is against us. It was created that way. You see it today. I saw Marcio's debate, Marcio. From Alem da Nuvem, shout out to Marcio and congratulations to him for his patience with that wizard, right? And the guy kept saying a bunch of things. And Marcio, he couldn't, even though he did an excellent job, he was amazing. If you want, I can react to that later. He was great in the debate. But the guy can't respond at the same level. Why can't he? Because if he does, he'll end up in jail. Because the guy is among the protected groups. So sometimes you say, let the guy offend you, and you hold back your words. You have to hold back, because if you don't, you'll end up in jail. Rise above it, my friend. And if that's the truth, that's it. If no one truly represents us now, what can we do, my brother? Some disagree. No, Davi, it's time to fight. But how do we fight? If the law says that what you think is a crime, if the law says that what you want to do is wrongdoing, what will you do about it, my brother? Biblically speaking, every time evil settled in the way it is now, God took his people and didn't perform a miracle to change the whole region. You can start back in Egypt. What does God do? He takes his people and removes them from there. His own son comes into the world. Why didn't God just send an angel? That would have been enough to protect his son and keep any guard from laying a hand on him. Does God have the power to do that or not? Any guard who laid a hand on him would drop dead. But no, he takes Joseph and Mary and says, get out of there. Go away. Go away. The land is cursed. Do you know why God did that? His hand would come down hard on that land. So I'm telling you, my brother, I'm no prophet, no. I'm a sinner, a big one. One of the worst. But I'm telling you this, especially you who have a young son or daughter, you have the obligation to leave this country. Davy, but I have my business here. Start looking into other countries. God's hand will weigh heavily on this nation, and if you're in the middle, you'll get swept up in it too. Listen to what I'm telling you. God be with you, my brothers. Hugs, and we move forward together. I'm out.